Hello, Bjarte. You're from Norway and you're living in Cilycwm.
That's right.
And I believe you came here to work at the Coleg Elidir in Llanelmoyn?
That's right. I came here a long time ago and started working in Coleg Elidir. Lived in Llanelmoyn for 26 years and moved to Cilycwm in the last 4 years or so.
And in all that time, as yet, you've not yet been to the Small Nations Festival.
I'm sorry.
But you come from a small nation, don't you?
That's right.
Now, are you a Small Nations person?
I think I am, yes. And I think I do understand what it means to come from a small nation. Perhaps significantly, Norway gained its independence and had a great upsurge of its national culture around the turn of the 19th to the 20th century, and has been rather successful as a small nation. But I think, having gained independence so recently, I kind of know something about what it means to have independence, to have lost independence, and to have regained it. And I think that's something that's probably a fairly common experience for many small nations.
And certainly including Wales, which is the
including Wales.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Small Nations Festival was set up to be a showcase for the music of Wales and other small nations, to form links with other small nations, bypassing the English language, which is a very difficult thing to do.
Considering we are now speaking English.
Exactly, and presumably there's quite a lot of English spoken in Norway.
There is indeed, and I suspect that many of the small nations that get together and share each culture, each other's culture, communicate in English together.
Yeah, that's right. We've had bands from Iceland in particular. I think I'm not sure we've had any bands from Norway, but there does seem to be a particular edge to music and the arts in some of the small nations. Do you feel that Norway has something special to offer, particularly in music?
Oh, certainly. There's been some very interesting experimentation done in Norway, especially mixing Norwegian style folk music with folk music coming from African countries, and that creates some fascinating juxtapositions of rhythms and themes and so on. So yeah, this
is also happening in lots of other countries in Europe, and particularly in the north, where they've offered asylum to people from Africa.
Exactly. Yeah.
Finland also seems to have a very vibrant musical culture. Now, I think one of the problems in Wales is that because we're so dominated by the English language, it's been quite difficult for non-English language music to gain a foothold, and this is another thing that we're trying to encourage, to try and get people to listen to music which is not sung in English. How do you feel about that?
I think it's very, very important, but I can also see it's very, very difficult because the money, so to speak, lies in the music that is done in English and in this, I wouldn't say even English, but international way that sells a lot of records, whereas all these other things, it's going to be not financially as rewarding.
Yes, that's very true, yeah. One of the issues that we are always up against is how do we react to music from England? And recently the new programme team have been booking more bands from England. Some people would say that England is a small nation. How do you feel about that?
Well, very interesting that actually, because with the political development as it's happening now, Wales is having its assembly and more independence. Scotland is having its parliament. There's Northern Ireland having its assembly. England doesn't have one. England lives, it seems to me, under the shadow of the empire all the time, and I'm not sure that the empire really was something that belonged to the English people, but rather a select group of the English people. So I suspect they are, in the long term, possibly the poorer of the small nations within the United Kingdom for that reason.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. Well, so far we've thought of England, which is where I came from originally, of course, as being a very powerful nation with a very dominant culture.
Sure.
And you disagree?
No, I think it is, of course, has been very true. At the moment, England is having, well, I don't know if having to, but is still in some ways acting as if it's still a world power, getting involved in conflicts all over the place. I'm not sure what is England and what is Britain in this whole picture, and I'm not sure England itself is sure of that.
No, well, certainly as someone from England living in Wales, I describe myself as British, whereas my Welsh friends tend to describe themselves as Welsh, and my Scottish friends as Scottish, and
Right.
presumably you would describe yourself as Norwegian.
I certainly would. But it's interesting, I have 4 children, 2 of whom describe themselves as being Welsh, 1 who describes himself as being British, and 1 who's fiercely contesting that he is European.
Excellent. A celebration of diversity, that's
Yes.
what we hope the small nations will be
Yes,
this
indeed,
year.
yes.
Do you believe in the... do you want to celebrate the diversity of culture?
Of course.
Excellent.
That is because each of these nations, each region of nation has a different aspect to bring towards the culture, and it's only when all these things come together that we get the full picture of what lives in Europe, in the world, and not only watching the big American films or British films or listening to the big American bands or English band or British bands, I should say, but actually what lives in the regions, in the smaller things.
Well, thank you. I think that's what it's all about. Thank you, Bjarte.
Thank you.